Welcome to episode 9 of the Be Kind, Be Happy podcast. In today's episode, we talk about habits.
And so by habits, we mean the importance of habits, how to create good habits, and also what type of habits we should create. We hope you like this episode on habits. But as always, before we begin the podcast, let's begin with 3 rounds of deep breaths. So relaxing the body, closing the eyes, back straight, posture well, and then breathing in, all the way in. And then breathing out, releasing entirely. Next breath in, fill up the lungs. And then breathing out, emptying out the lungs. Last breath in. And breathing out all the way, relaxing the mind and body. And then gently open your eyes. Okay, let's begin the podcast today on habits.
So it's good to be back another week. You know, we at last week's episode, right? When we finished that, I was just thinking 8 weeks, 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how quickly that went by, and I think the evolution just over 8 weeks has just been phenomenal.
Yeah.
My personal evolution too, like just loving it. So
nice.
So we're trying to take that same energy to episode 9.
Yeah.
So for me, one big thing regarding habits, that's why I'm excited to do this episode, is that I'm starting school in about a week, right?
Ooh,
and I
nice.
I obviously haven't been in university now for like 2.5 years, coming up on 3 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to think that I have good habits, and I can study and focus and learn and complete my assignments on time and succeed. But I'd like you to kind of go into that, like go into developing good habits. How do you develop your good habits?
Yeah, I think habits is a big one in life in general, especially for someone who's like, cultivating a level of like mentality. And I think it's because when Leigh and I talk about the goal of this channel, which is to elevate our consciousness, create joy from within, happiness from within, one of the qualities of the happiness that we want to achieve is effortless happiness. And so with habits, having good habits, it helps us achieve things more effortlessly, because everything that we do habitually requires less willpower. If we don't have the habit of exercise, every time we exercise, it becomes very hard because we don't have that habit. Whereas if we have the habit of going to the gym every single morning, then every day we go to the gym doesn't require a lot of willpower or discipline. We just do it because we're so used to it. And so that becomes effortless. Life becomes much more effortless when we have habits that, helps us flow day to day. And so
Yes.
Habits is very important in that aspect. And I think the best way the most important ingredient for developing habits, for me, I think, is discipline. Because discipline will help us defer short-term gratification for long-term fulfillment. So we want to have a healthy body, and that's a long-term goal. But then we want to eat that piece of cake, and that's short-term gratification. Discipline means that we can defer the short-term gratification of the cake to enjoy the long-term fulfillment of having good health. And so I think discipline is very important in creating good habits. And good habits are very important in having an effortlessly happy life.
And so, like last week, we talked about almost creating your own fuel, right?
Yeah.
Through inner happiness.
Yeah.
But to add to that, it seems you have to develop good habits, right?
Yes.
Because it's more than just the mental click. Like you have to actually practice what you preach or what we're preaching.
Yeah.
So like when you wake up, what's one thing that what's one of the first things that you do that you would say is a good habit of yours?
Yeah. So in my room, as soon as I wake up, I go straight to the next room, which has a yoga mat on the floor, meditation cushion, and before I even brush my teeth, I go straight there to do 20 minutes of yoga, stretches, and a bit of push-ups and sit-ups. Basically 20 minutes of stretching and exercise, and then I go straight into 20 minutes of sitting meditation. And then I go into just only 5 minutes of reading my life book, which is a collection of the different aspects of life that I want to aspire towards. And then I brush my teeth and have a shower, get ready for work. But in the morning, the first thing I think, and it's so important for me personally to move the body, especially doing back bends and forward folds, and then the twists. It opens up the spine, it elongates the spine and releases all the tension from within, and then I feel much more flexible, much more light. And then the sitting meditation just really calms everything down, brings more mindfulness into the morning, and then the day becomes much more easy. Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. So so you start with the physical activity, the stretching and the movement,
Yeah.
and then you finish with the calm meditation, relaxed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So get your heart rate going, and then relax it, and
Yeah.
then you start your day.
Yeah.
So that's the morning of Byron.
Yeah.
And is that every day? Is that every day?
Yes, yes. It's every day,
yeah.
unless like for some whatever reason I feel that I'm very tired in the morning, and I would benefit more from having that extra half an hour sleep, then I would sleep that extra half an hour. But that's usually not the case. It depends on how early I can get to bed. But I think like in the beginning, setting the habit of doing that every morning would have been a bit difficult in the beginning. But when you slowly see the benefits, there's the motivation there because the benefits are so evident that it doesn't require willpower to wake up and do exercise. It becomes so natural because the benefits are just so apparent.
Like just as you brush your teeth in the morning, you do this. It's part of this is part of Byron's life.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so when you wake up, do you ever like you said, if you wake up tired, you might take your extra 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So how often is that? Like how frequent is how frequent?
Yeah. Maybe like once a week.
So for me, if I have something that I absolutely have to do, I always seem to be able to get up for that, right? Like my mind, when I wake up, I'm like, oh, I got to go do that, right? Like whether it's like an exam or something, work, I guess.
Yeah.
But so is it as simple as kind of in your mind saying that's something you have to do? Like when I wake up, I have to stretch. So when you wake up, you're like, oh, if I have to work in an hour, I have 40 minutes here to 20 minutes to stretch, 20 minutes to meditate, brush my teeth, and then get on my way. Is that how you started out, or how did you how did you start this habit of doing these things in the morning?
I think the habits it made sense in the beginning because of the health benefits, but then over time you become familiar with it. But I think the key ingredient here is that you enjoy it, right? If you don't enjoy it, then the habit becomes very difficult to do long term. But if you enjoy it, then it's fun, Like when I'm stretching, dude, I'm having the time of my life. Stretching feels really good. Meditation feels great. So yeah, man, like it doesn't take much effort to get into it because I want to do it. Like it feels good in the moment when I'm doing it.
And so then you go to work. What is your evening like after work?
Yeah. So most days, well, every work day after school, I have after school classes because of the learning center that I run. And so I finish work at around 7:30. After that, I will sweep the whole school, but that only takes like maybe 20 minutes. And then I just tidy up the whole school to get ready for the next day. And then I will have the evening off. So from 8 to about 10 is where I can, do my, like maybe even some more stretching or reading or catching up on some, some studying or whatever. And then I sleep at, I get to bed at around 10:30, and then
And
sleeping by 11.
When do you wake up?
7? 7.
7, yeah, 11, 7.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good. And so one thing that I know that I was wanting to touch on was your diet,
Yeah.
because it's fascinating your eating habits.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is also
I'd like
my
to go
habit.
into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my eating habit is very, very simple in the sense that I only eat one meal a day. And so it's basically intermittent fasting. That meal takes about half an hour to eat. So I'm not eating about 23 hours a day. And so when the body's not digesting food, you get a high from that. And so it feels good when you're intermittent fasting. It feels good and you have more energy, Like there's a lot of health benefits to intermittent fasting, such as you enter ketosis, your body burns fat. There's also this thing called autophagy, where the damaged cells start to repair itself, because that's what happens after 12 hours of not eating, autophagy. And so eating one meal a day also takes the mind away from, like, what do I eat? How much do I eat? How do I cook and prepare and all that stuff? It's just, you just eat one meal a day. There's nothing to think about. So it simplifies that aspect of life.
So that's very simple for you, but for me that would be very difficult.
But I think it's the thing with habits is maybe in the beginning it takes a bit of, willpower to create that habit. But once the habit is in place, it's effortless. And that's the purpose of a habit, right? That's the quality of a habit, which is why sometimes it's so difficult to break a bad habit, because it's so effortless. A smoker will smoke every day because it's so effortless for them to just pick up a cigarette and smoke. They don't have any internal, like battles, or maybe they do, but it's just so instinctive for them to just smoke. So that's a bad habit. It's effortless, but a good habit is equally effortless as well.
Yeah, and they say something like 21 days to form a habit, right?
Yeah.
So if you can consistently do something for 21 days, then I think it's been proven. Then it becomes much easier over time, because you've added that to your daily routine or your weekly routine, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's important. I think also not putting so much, like there's this all or nothing approach that my brain likes to go to with a lot of things. And so with exercise, that's a big one, right? Like I have to exercise today, and that works when I exercise. But when I don't exercise, it creates this real negative, like, guilt in my mind. And I just wonder if that's like, that has to be the case, I've been trying to be a lot easier on myself with things, and not in a way that I'm easier on myself, therefore I don't do anything, It's more just I'm easier on myself, hopefully, so I'm more likely to do it the next day, Like today's not the day to go for a road bike ride, right? So maybe tomorrow,
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, if I don't go today, then you're useless.
Yeah.
Like literally in my head would be stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it's very very counterproductive.
Yeah.
Because that's like, then you definitely should be going and doing it, because it's like the worst case, you're gonna stall your energy for the day. When you break your habit, or when you don't necessarily do the things, like, I don't know, maybe you always follow through with everything you do, it's possible. How does that look in your mind?
Yeah, I think this is actually a very important point, because no one is perfect with their habits. I guess if you are, then you're on another level. But for the most part, we break our habits. Like we break, our habits, our streaks. I used to be like yourself, Leigh, like very hard on myself, and I'd be very strict with myself. But then I realized that this is a very long game. Like, this is like a lifelong practice. So there's no point beating yourself up over breaking a habit, because you can only you can always restart again and then learn in the process. So now I've learned to become very, very lenient and gentle with myself, because even if I don't want to do it someday, I'll just reflect on that and ask, like, why? Is it okay? Like, it's gonna be okay if I don't exercise one morning in the week. Like, I have no problems with that anymore.
Yes.
Before I'd be like self-defeating, you know. But now I know that if I don't feel like it, then that's okay. Not hard on myself. But I know that over time, I've proven to myself that in the long haul, things become easier and more consistent. So maybe you have like an off day here and there, but after like years and years and years, for the most part, you stick to it because it makes sense. And you don't have to be too forceful with yourself. So Leigh, what habits are you trying to cultivate for your own practice? Do you have any habits that you're trying to build these days on your own, or any habits that you have from the past that you're still cultivating now?
So one of the habits that I've formed in the last 2 months was meditation. So when we started the podcast, I was just starting to meditate, right? And I was having like little breakthroughs, and I was all excited about it. But now it's become effortless, right? Like now I'm not like before, right? I would message you, I'd be like, dude, crushed a sweet meditation. But that was in the first 21 days. Whereas now it's just something that I do in my daily routine, similar to you, right? And so I've kind of seen that just recently, like the progression of that, where I was like, oh, I'm running out of time in the day, I got to make sure I do my meditation. And then it's just kind of, that's something that I'm going to do, just like I'm going to eat. You know, it's like I'm going to have a glass of water. Like I'm going to spend, could be 10 minutes. I'd like to do a little longer, because I find that the first 5 or 10 minutes for me is just kind of winding down a little bit. And getting those thoughts out, and then body scanning, and then the next 10 to 20 minutes is very clean and very like free, you know, like frees my mind at least. So that's one habit that I've created or formed for myself in the last 2 months. What about you? What about yourself? Do you have any ideas of good habits that people should try and work on?
In terms of habits that I already have, it's definitely like, you know, exercising every day, meditating every day, eating healthy, getting enough rest. But I think you know, like, it's always fun to work on new habits, right? Because we always want to improve ourselves and hit that new level. So I think it's natural for most people to want to aspire towards higher goals. And right now for me, I'm trying to maintain mindful and focused with a straight back everywhere throughout the day. What I find is that in meditation, when I'm sitting, I used to like put the energy, resting the energy, like, you know, just like that. Recently, I've been elevating entirely the energy all the way up, so that it's all the way up. I can feel the energy like here. It's above my head. And it's not even on my head, it's above my head, because the energy is going all the way up the chakras on the spine. And so when I'm elevating the spine and keeping the whole body like energy going up, then I can relax everything else down. So then the neck is relaxed, the shoulders relaxed, the back and the stomach and the legs are all relaxed, but there's still this strong pillar of energy that's going up the spine to above the head. And I'm just resting in that state for the duration of the meditation. But I find that when I'm in that state, I can, like, the mind is much more clear, and I can see things much clearly, and there's much more energy. It's like I'm creating energy from within, and I'm using less than what I'm creating. So there's a surplus. And that surplus means that every moment I have more energy than I need. And so it's just trying to cultivate that, you know, that attention, like I'm pushing my energy up. And so, I'm just creating it right here in the moment. and I'm trying to do that throughout the day.
Is that effortless
No.
now or no? Not now. Yeah.
No,
So
but
you have
it's
to
fun.
be. You're conscious of it, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
throughout the, like right now, instantly, I mean, part of my posture is the microphone. I like to be kind of
Yeah.
near it, but yeah. So you're like thinking of this, right? Like when
Yeah.
you sit down and you catch yourself kind of slouching or something, you pull yourself up.
Yeah.
And in meditation, if you find yourself kind of dropping a bit, you pull yourself up. Is that
Yeah.
all as simple as that?
Yeah, pretty much.
You already have perfect posture, man. Like so, I
Yeah.
feel.
I don't think so.
Like,
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Another thing
Yeah.
is, like right now I'm sitting in the full Lotus. You know, like the full Lotus. And I'm trying to
Really?
increase, yeah, right now, yeah. I'm trying to sit in the full Lotus whenever I can, just to, you know, build that habit, because it hurts over time, and that's what's preventing me from doing extended meditation. After an hour, the full Lotus starts to hurt. And so I'm trying to increase my time with the full Lotus. So that's also
Wow.
creating
And that's
another habit.
legs. That's legs crossed, right?
Yeah, both legs on, both feet on top of the other thigh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And where does that hurt the most? Is it the hips? Is it flexibility in the hips?
Yeah,
Or in the
it's
knees?
the hips. It's definitely
Yeah.
the hips and the feet. You know, the ankle, because your ankle is
Yeah, yeah.
like, you know, it's like that.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you've been doing more stretching for your hips and stuff like that, or
Yeah.
you are? Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure of this now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely like, especially with the yoga stretches every morning, I'm trying to open up the hips. I'm
Yeah.
working a lot on my back bend. I want to be able to like go all the way down, put my hands on the ground. and,
Wow.
you know, like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
bridge, like that. Yeah.
So, wow. Have you always been flexible?
No, I no.
Really?
But,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, only
That's
in the
kind of
past 5 years.
inspiring, though. That's
Yeah.
inspiring, though.
Yeah.
So, like for me, I was never flexible, never
Yeah.
stretched, and as I worked out and gained muscle mass, never stretched, and then it was like became a problem. I was so tight, my shoulders were so tight. They still are, but like you know, I was starting to be more inwards, you know,
Yeah.
and so then I started stretching more and more, and then I stopped stretching, but that's one habit. Again, that's one habit that I definitely have not formed. It's not part of my daily routine effortlessly yet,
Yeah.
but I've been. I think 2 episodes ago I was saying I want to start working on my flexibility, stretching, and so I have in the last 2 weeks I've probably had a stretching session, you know, a little bit of yoga, but just self stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 times, you know.
Nice, man.
So,
That's
but not
great.
not every day. I mean, it would be
Yeah.
nice to do 14 out of 14,
Yeah.
but I'm a little bit more motivated now.
Yeah. I think for me the main benefit of yoga stretching and, you know, having more flexibility is that you feel very relaxed in your body.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like you're able to sit up with the energy all the way up, and that feels comfortable. So yeah. And then
Yeah,
stretching
and there's
feels
something
nice.
about it. Yeah,
Stretching
there's
just feels
something about
nice.
it.
Yeah. I think it releases endorphins.
So I just finished work. I have 1 week off, and then I start school.
Yeah.
A little bit excited, a little bit nervous. We can get into that later. But so this week is kind of like my, I don't know if it's like my summer vacation as much as I can use, now I have the full day. I don't have to work, I don't have to do anything. I just have to figure out what is important to me on Monday and go 100% at it. And maybe it's like 4 things, right? Maybe it's stretching. Maybe I try to start a morning with stretching and meditation.
Yeah.
See what I do in the day and then finish my day with the meditation again. That
Yeah.
might be something that I'll try this week for a few days. And so I'm excited to try a few new things this week. You have a video series on yoga and stretching, on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I've got a playlist called All About Meditation, where I talk about things like preparation, how to sit, the different types of meditation, what is meditation.
And that's on the Be Kind Be Happy channel, right?
Yes.
So I'll probably check that out.
So Leigh, how do you know when the habit we're trying to create has been established effortlessly, so that it doesn't require a lot of willpower, because the habit has been formed. How do you know when you get to the point where the habit has been formed?
I think it's when you go from being conscious of it, right? Like you have to use energy to consciously think, like, I'm gonna exercise today, or I'm gonna do this today, and then when it becomes unconscious, right, or effortless.
Yeah.
So it's you probably will, a chunk of time will go by where it's in your routine and you're feeling good, and then you might recognize it a few weeks later. Like, that was the thing that I was talking about at the start of the podcast. It's funny how it jumps to this. When I said 8 weeks, right? 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
We've talked now on video chat now for hours and hours.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
talk for longer than the actual recording, right?
Yeah.
And it's become unconscious. It hasn't really become, oh, like I got a podcast in 4 days. Like, before I was kind of like, I have a podcast in 4 days. Okay, I got to make sure they do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And it was like very, not like, it wasn't stressing me out because I was enjoying it, but it was like, it was demanding a lot of, consciousness.
Yeah.
And so now it's become more effortless.
Yeah.
On Saturday, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to talk to Byron, and I'm just happy about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just excited to catch up with you, right?
Yeah. Nice.
The effort is still in here, right? Absolutely. But it's more like the thought of the act, right?
Yeah.
Because you still have to perform. And that's the same thing with anything. You still have to perform your stretches. You still have to do all those things, and that takes effort. But the actual, like starting it, right? Making it happen, that becomes effortless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like,
Agree.
I think that's an important thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
for working out too, right? Like, it doesn't become effortless in the sense that you're not pushing yourself, like it's just easy. Like, that's no good. It's effortless. You're going to go to the gym, or you're going to go for a walk or a run, or you're going to eat this and this. You're not you're no longer having to think, how many glasses of water have I drank in the day? Like, you're just drinking the water,
Yeah. Would you say, Leigh, that, like, for example, using gym as the example, when we go to the gym, we still apply the effort and the energy, but the idea of going to the gym becomes effortless. The idea of the gym isn't stressful because it's more familiar and natural. But when we're at the gym, we still perform at a level that requires effort. But the only thing that's become effortless or less stressful is the idea in the mind. Because that's what's usually creating a lot of resistance in the past. Going to the gym, oh my God, I have to wake up early, I have to go to the gym, I have to, do all that stuff. But that's just an idea in the mind, and that becomes effortless and more natural. And that's what we're trying to achieve, is having the idea become more natural, having the idea become more intuitive, as opposed to resistance.
And it allows you to be in the present moment longer. You have because you're obviously doing something before you do the next thing. So instead of, while you're doing something, you're thinking about the next thing that you have to do, and I'm at day 5, I have to do it again. With physical progress, you only make real physical gains through long-term consistency. Right? And so it'd be very difficult to make real lasting, like lifelong term changes if it didn't become effortless. Like, the mental thing, it become effortless. And that comes natural for most people when they enjoy something. It just does. Most people that really are passionate about something, we talked about that before, it comes more natural. But some things don't necessarily come natural because you've lived for so long without it, but it could become natural. And that's kind of like that idea of just starting today, right? Because you don't know, right? Like meditation might be for you, and like, I think it could help everyone, but you might really like it, you know, it might change your life.
Yeah.
So start today, right? Or
Yeah.
or with different eating habits, same thing. You know, you don't know, but it might change your life. You know, start today, and that can be applied for all sorts of things. It can be
Yeah.
applied for almost trying anything new, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know where that will take you, but if you don't start today, you will never find out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You start today, maybe you stop tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? But then you have more time to start something else because you're
Yeah.
not thinking about, oh, I wanted to try juggling or some
Yeah.
you know, abstract thing, right? I think that's a beautiful thing that lots and lots of people preach, right? Just start today.
Yeah.
And you said that, right? You said
Yeah.
that. And if you started and stopped, you can always start again. That, I think that's the mental coaching around it. Is
Yeah.
that's how you overcome the self-defeating thoughts, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe one of the ways you overcome them, right?
Yeah.
All right, Byron, what are some final tips to help effectively create good habits?
Yeah, I think this is so important because having good habits really is the hallmark of having a good life. And I think to make the habit last long term, we have to understand the benefit of it. It has to make sense to our logical mind so that there's no resistance in accepting the idea of this habit. That's the first thing, is that the habit has to make sense to our logical mind. The second thing is that we have to enjoy it. Because if we don't enjoy something that we want to do every day, it's going to be an uphill battle from the first day up until the last. If we don't like to go to the gym, and we want to go to the gym every single day and make that a habit, if after 2 or 3 months we still don't like it, we might want to like tweak that. Maybe do some running, you know, or like do some yoga or do some stretching, something else that we enjoy. Then the third thing is to not start with crazy goals. Like, I'm going to go to the gym every single day for 2 hours. You know, like you can always start light, start small. Instead of saying I'll meditate every day for an hour, you can just say I'll meditate every day for at least 2 minutes. Because saying at least 2 minutes means after 2 minutes you can keep going or you can stop. But either way, you've ticked the box and you've added an extra day to your streak. And over time, that builds confidence and it builds that flow, that habit. And so having small goals, but goals that we can tick off every single day, builds the streak, the habit streak. And that's exactly what we want for our confidence. And so yeah, start small. Meditate 2 minutes every day. Go to the gym or exercise 5 minutes every day. Read 1 page a day. You know, stuff like that. So start small.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Time to wrap it up. Goodbye, everyone. Just to wrap things up, we hope you enjoyed episode 9. And what are some... We're asking the viewer, what are some of the habits that you want to form, and or maybe that you're already working on, or have formed and we didn't touch on in this episode. So if you have any and you'd like to share, please comment or even privately message us. That's a good thing too. That works.
Yeah.
That works.
And if you guys have any like difficulties in creating habits, please let us know so that we can learn from each other, maybe help each other. But we also want to hear what habits you want to use to improve your life, because maybe that would also help us improve our life as well. Okay, thanks again for watching, and we hope to see you again next week. Thank you.
Bye everyone.